Well, hello and welcome to Tea and Coffee Hub. Welcome, Karen.
Hello. How you doing?
Good. So I've had this discussion now with quite a few people in the last couple of weeks, and it's been a crazy conversation. It's not your normal, hey, give me some advice on marketing or anything like that. But I brought up an example to a group of entrepreneurs, and they were like, huh, never thought of it like that. And it's that
Okay.
someone who like struggles for maybe years, decades, whatever it may be, long time, and they finally figure out the magic sauce and their company just takes off.
Mhm.
And of course, now they're attractive to buyouts, mergers, and other things. So, being a smart entrepreneur, they take it and do the exit. Well, the thing that most people don't realize is they hop into the next thing immediately
It's either immediately or within three
within.
months.
Yeah,
Within three to
absolutely.
6 months, it's
It's not a decade, it's not years, it's within probably 6 months. And the reason
Mhm.
is they've had a book, and you and I both keep these books of ideas. Well, these
Oh
entrepreneurs
God, yes.
make their multi-millions of the sale, they've made their money, but they hop into the next thing and it scales. Instead of taking, like, say, 10 years to hit it, it takes three. And most
Mhm.
entrepreneurs don't realize, why did their second venture hit lightning so fast?
Oh, so many reasons. I mean, this is what the reason they're going to tell you it is. This
Mhm.
is what they always say. Well, because they got famous on the first one, people wanted to help them.
Right. That's not
But
the truth.
that it's not the truth because some people have done it without even you not even knowing that they were behind the first one.
Right.
Mm. Yeah, Gary V. That's one reason. That's one that a lot of people use, but they just saw him as like a YouTuber that talks about wine. They didn't think he had any real credibility. And then he launched another and another and another. And now you've seen him with 20 different businesses. He's got the credibility.
Absolutely. One thing I tell people is, like, look at your, like, the Inc. 5000, Forbes 500, all these things. Look at the people on the list who are still founders, owner operators, or the founder,
Mm-hmm.
and they're still in charge in the big chair. Look at their background. Odds are this is not their first rodeo.
Right. And, I've had these conversations too because I've seen it in many different. Let's even scale it way, way down
Mhm.
to very small because, affiliate marketing is a big thing now.
Right.
And we have influencers that are creating followings, sharing things and products. And you get somebody who goes, oh, but I'm no one. I know no one. I can't do what you do. Just, it's not the case. It's even from the
Got it.
smallest to the biggest. They all have this same like fear, this wall that goes up. And
Right.
it doesn't matter if you're a $20 a month business or a $20 million a month business. This wall can go up.
Absolutely. And the entrepreneur that made it finally,
Hmm.
they learned all these lessons and they have repeated those lessons, and probably failed again and kept trying until it hit. But when they start their next venture, they take those lessons and get rid of the failures and move forward. And those are already out of their head. They're already gone.
Yeah, they learn things like, oh crap, I should have done this way last
Right.
time. So you know what? I'm going to do it that way this time. Well, look at you, Steve. How many businesses have you had?
Seven.
Yeah, and they've all been successful.
All but
You've
the
all
first, well, the tech bubble killed it.
The tech bubble killed it, but
I
you've got
learned.
out, you learned, you built a business to turn out. You've sold a few businesses. I
Yeah.
sold a business.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I couldn't go back in and do another business
Right.
and using the problems that I learned to make
Absolutely.
it better.
What I'm noticing talking to these first time entrepreneurs, and they're still stuck on their first idea, maybe they're making that income that they're comfortable with, but they're not seeing the longer picture and about selling, exiting. But they also don't see well, what would be next?
They it's like they get to this hurdle. And also this is a great example for those people that chase shiny rabbits.
Yeah.
They have a great I've met so many people with an amazing business. They start to document it, they start to scale it, and then all of a sudden they hit a wall. And every single one of those multi-million, multi-billion dollar business owners, they've all hit these walls. It was never smooth sailing. It never was this easy, like wake up and, whoa, I'm a millionaire. They hit the wall, and instead of pushing through the wall, they flip.
Yeah. And we've seen that time and time again, even with business owners. I mean, they built a nice like brick and mortar business. I mean, they're firing on all cylinders, and all of a sudden they just like stop and sold. And then I talked to them like, what happened? They go, I lost my passion, I lost my focus, I lost the drive. I got stuck and I didn't know how to get through it because I kept trying to push through it and then just finally gave up and sold it.
But I think that's a valid reason to sell your business, though, as well. If
Yeah,
you no longer have the passion and drive to be in that business, but this is why you have to set your business up to be saleable from day one.
right.
And I bet those people, they ended up taking a lot lower an offer than the business was actually worth because they hadn't set things up in the beginning.
Big time. Because now the business is starting to do this decline
Mm-hmm.
because they've lost their passion when
Yeah.
they should have set their business up to be a sellable business. So when the second they realize they lost their passion, it goes on the market versus I'm going to push through this. I'm going to push through this. I'm going to push through this. Uh-oh, I better sell.
Yeah. And then they're not even that what they do is, oh, I can turn this around. And they do that. I can turn it around for anywhere from 6 months to 3 years. And by that time, it's 50 points lower than it was when they first realized they no longer had the passion.
That's
Because you
it.
need passion to turn it around.
Absolutely. And Karen and I were talking right before we started the episode about an entrepreneur I know built a massive business, massive. And but it didn't was not an overnight success. They failed many, many times, but decades. They were like the leader of the industry in
Mm-hmm.
Arizona. And someone came along and threw a big check at them, and they realized it's time for me to move on. So
Yeah.
they sold within a couple months. They flipped into the new business, and it took not immediately. It took a little
Yeah.
gradual, but they had a concept and they took everything they knew about starting a business, threw it into that, used their connections, did not like party it up once they got that sale check.
Yeah. And even if they do, because some of them do party it up for a few months,
And that's
but
fine.
then they realize that something's missing.
Right.
I've seen that with all of these major entrepreneurs. Doesn't matter how good they've got the bank in the check in the bank. Doesn't
Yep.
matter how they could live with that for the rest of their life and never worry again. They start to tinker because they get bored.
Absolutely. And there's always that what's next. Because, I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs on the exit strategy. And one, before we even got into the whole start of everything, he goes, I want to sell. He tells me the whole deal. And I go, great. So we sell this business. What are you going to do? He's like, I don't know. I think I'll
Yeah,
retire. Like, you're 45.
you'll get bored.
And I go, how long can you play golf? He goes, oh, maybe a couple of weeks. I go, yeah. How long will your wife allow you to sit around the house and do nothing? He goes, a day. I go, so let's think what's next before we start putting together the exit. And we worked on it together for a long time and met with his family and everything else. And he had all these ideas and he had them in a book. And he goes, oh my God, I can now start on these,
Yeah.
which he's
So,
passionate about.
so lesson one, you've, and I know a lot of people who listen to this are up and coming business owners.
Yeah.
They've been the first couple of years. You should have a separate book for your business ideas. And the reason it needs to be in a separate book, because if you mix in with your current business, you will get so spread thin
Yep.
that you won't be able to make any of them succeed. But you know what? You can always go back to that book. So have a separate notebook or have a separate file or a separate. Yeah, I have mine over there
Mine's
too.
right on my
Because
desk.
yeah, we have them because we see things that are problems and go, ooh, should fix that. But we are also currently very focused in on our business because if you're not focused on your current business, that decline is going to happen sooner than you would like. And you're not going to be able to put all of your passion into that new product because you'll be trying to fix your current product.
Yeah, you and I both know how many times we bumped into an entrepreneur. Their business is just starting to take off, and then they introduce the next business concept. So they start all over with the LLC. And folks, what you just did is take 100% of your time on one thing and split it 50%, if that, maybe
And
less.
it's not even a clean 50%
It's not even a clean.
because you're not focused. The
Right.
50% on the first one, you're not really focused.
And I see it with restaurant owners. They just now start getting traction and start making money. And they're like, hey, let's open up the second one. And I'm like, whoa, whoa,
Wait,
whoa,
whoa, whoa, whoa.
whoa. Let's get some standard operating procedures in place. Let's start building it. And let's now do a proof of concept. And you still can control it before you go out and franchise. Because I've had some guys who I want to franchise immediately. It's like, well, you don't have a proof of concept yet. You have one
You,
business that's doing okay, but
yeah,
no proof of concept.
no, like on my business, I have a long-term plan that is
Mm.
similar to a franchise system. Long term. Am I touching that right now? No, 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 no. But here's the other thing I see with these business owners that hit a bump. They hit a bump, and instead of pushing through the bump, they think, well, if I just add this to my business, it'll push me over. If we don't, and this is when you go to a networking event. Well, hi, yeah, I do life coaching, notary, mortgages, real estate.
Oh,
What else?
doTERRA,
And
Avon.
you like go, whoa, 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 and you're focused on all of it, and it gets confusing. And I'll tell you right now, 9 times out of 10 that people do this is because they've hit that first bump.
Right.
And instead of having that, I'm going to push through the bump, they add another shiny on top because adding a shiny feels easier than getting through a hurdle.
Absolutely. You know, my last business, I built it in segments. So
Mm-hmm.
each one had its own pillar. So I could have sold off a pillar of my business and it didn't affect the other pillars until
Yeah,
someone said, I'll buy 90% of your business. And it was like, fine, you could take all the pillars but one.
yeah,
Because I had them segmented, but it didn't happen overnight.
no,
It was a long-term strategy. It started with one, and once that one was up and running and was successful, it was an ancillary pillar.
yeah. So this is just my thought here, Steve, my opinions, but these people who are hitting this bump, which they either fragment themselves or feel doubt or feel
Right.
like they can't get through it. And that's what these big business owners have done. The ones
Right.
that make their first million, they can go back and make the second million very easy. They always say the hardest things to hit are your first 10K in a month, your first 100K, and your first million. Once
Yep.
you can hit all three of those, you can do it over and over and over and over and over again. But I'm seeing business owners stop at that bump and
Absolutely.
they stay in this constant financially desperate place.
It's true. And we should be learning the lessons from these other entrepreneurs, these other
Yeah.
business people. And you and I both know, I mean, I'm a big fan of reading about great leaders in business because in those books, they're telling you their failures. Well,
Hmm.
guess what I'm doing? They just gave me a playbook of learning lessons.
I love reading about history
Absolutely.
because, I mean, it doesn't have to be business history.
No,
It can be any form of history because in those histories, the same patterns repeat.
absolutely.
And yes, they happen in business as well, but on a different scale. And you can see those things. So, what are some of these big bumps that people hit that stop them hitting that first, let's say 100,000? Because I think 100,000 is one that everyone's trying to aim for when they're in the small business world.
I think it's mindset. I'm not good enough. It's the negative self-talk. because I've seen that a
Mm.
lot. I mean, I've been there. We've both been
And
there. Uh, we're getting close to that 100K, and it was like, oh, now the self-doubt comes in. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. But you got to realize you are.
yeah. And I think the reason that hits at the 100K is because the business, or at least most of I've been speaking with, between like 80 and 90,000 K a year. They are consistently at 80 and
Right.
90K a year, and they've stuck there for 6 months or a year. And instead of seeing this, oh no, now you've got this solidified, now you've created a system, they're
Right.
seeing it as a failure that they can't break through the next step.
Well, I'll admit it, my second business, getting to the 100 was lightning. I didn't even realize how fast we got there. But then I was like, had the eye on the mill.
Hmm.
And then I noticed right around 800,000, here all that came in. And I went to a coach and they're like, you're self-doubt, second guessing yourself. They go, you built it to here. You're already on the path. Get that out of the way. And once that came out of the way, going over the million was like a joke.
Yeah. Well, this is going to sound harsh. I've mentored a lot of people who have hit that 90% rule,
Mhm.
very quickly hit the 100% rule, and then gone right back down to 75 because
Yes.
they pulled a stunt. They cheapened their product to get over there, but they didn't have a system to keep it consistently because they were tired of keying at the 90% for 2 months. So they did something drastic to hit them to the 100K. It cost them more off their bottom line. So their bottom line was actually lower at the 100
Yep.
than it was at the 90. And then they couldn't hit the 100 again. And then it was like, oh, because I'm pathetic, I'm stupid, I did it wrong, I could never do that. I would much rather see everyone I speak with stay at 90% for 6 months and then go 92, 94, 98, then go 90, 90, 110, 80, 75, 75, 70.
Right.
Because that's what happens if you don't have a concrete way to do it. You'll hit it, but it'll drop immediately.
Absolutely. When the entrepreneurs we're talking about for this episode, so they've gone through this. They've been through it. They've had the hurdles and they've gotten through it. But they've also had some help to get through the mindset to get them over the 100,000, to get them to that million mark, maybe even a 500,000. Depends on your business.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, it could be big numbers. Guess what? At the time, they all started from zero, all
Yes.
negative.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I'm going to say the second thing that I think hits these business owners that are struggling to hit over this thing is the hiring boundary.
Oh,
Small businesses tend to have a problem. They either hire too soon or too late.
yeah, they're not looking at the timing. And I know
Hmm.
we've talked about this before. That's where your strategic plan comes in place, maybe your business plan at the beginning. Uh, like I said, my second business, I knew at certain points when to bring on the next person and who that person was to a T.
Yeah.
Because I knew they would get me to the next point, and I knew at that point who that the next person would be to get me to there. It was
And that's what these big ones have too. They've
they
done
all
it, they've
have.
lived it. They know, okay, so I get to this point, then I hired this person, then I hired that person. And the small business is either way too soon
Yeah.
or way too late.
I need a body. So you do the mirror test. I just hope they're breathing. And
Mm-hmm.
they're not hiring the right people because their focus isn't there. They're thinking maybe I need to hire an operations person. It's like, no, you need to hire a salesperson. Well, the operations person can do sales. They can't.
No, no good operations person will ever do sales.
No, their job is to make the company run and be efficient and
Hmm.
find new ways of revenue, not to sell. And then I've seen this happen. I need an accountant. And then they try to force them to sell. And then they wonder why the accountant leaves them. And now they're can't figure out what's going on because, well, you hired the wrong person.
Or they think they need a bookkeeper, but within a couple of weeks, that big bookkeeper is the secretary answering the calls, doing the
Right.
books, and just a general office person. And they quit because that's not what they do.
Right. And what we're talking about is the people who started that second business. Guess what? They now know because of lessons they learned the hard way of who to hire when. And you can learn from these people to hire the right people in your business on the first business.
Yeah. So what would you give them as a third boundary that they're hitting, that these millionaire billionaires keep repeating, that they've learned that we can learn from?
I hear it. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've been there. You take your eye off the prize. Guaranteed. You have a target to go to. And all of a sudden, one day, you're like, but what if?
Yeah, it's the person who hires some staff to do things and then stops keeping that staff accountable
Oh, yeah.
because they just hand it over, or they just figure it's got it handled.
Yeah. Yeah. Leadership would be my fourth one.
Yeah,
But yeah, this one is, I've seen it so many times. Business owners are going, oh, now I can take that month vacation. But they don't have the system set up. And then so they took their eye off the prize, their goals,
yeah,
and they let it like, I don't know, I kind of almost look like it, like opening up a jar of flies.
yeah.
You spend so much time to capture all those flies and you just let them out.
Or you get caught up by the shiny object to take your eye off the prize.
Ooh, if I invest in this company and spend 80% of my time helping them, it's going to help my company.
Yes. Partnerships don't come easy, and we'll
No,
have to go into that in a whole other episode because
that's it.
that's detailed. That's so detailed.
Yeah. So I mentioned the fourth is, your leadership, your lack of, like you're a leader all the way to a certain point, and we've both seen this. They're crushing it as a leader, as a
Hmm.
founder, and they get to that elusive 100,000 mark, and they decide, hey, let's change my leadership style.
Yeah. Or you're reading about these amazing leaders that have hit this, and they have a specific leadership style, and you're going to imitate it.
Right.
I cannot stress this enough. I know we lead very differently,
Right.
but we still hit success. You cannot lead exactly like somebody else
Nope.
because if it does not fit into the core of who you are, it is going to backfire so fast.
And I'm part of a leadership academy on the backside, not in the class. And this week we actually talk about your leadership styles and how you need to learn them all to adjust to the right situation, but you have a default leadership style that you need to own and understand.
Yeah. We even, with one organization, we came up with jokes for what our leadership styles were.
Yeah,
You were the general.
I was the
Just
general.
do, 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 do. And
And
that's how you did it. That's just how it went for you.
yeah,
And I got the friendly cult leader.
yeah. So you have to own it too. But I see leaders, these leaders, they're getting to that 1 million mark and they just turn everything over to somebody.
Oh, they're like, I have to be mean now. This is
Or,
my investment. Yeah. I need perfection. If you can't give perfection, then you are just bad for me and I can fire you because anyone wants to work for me.
or micromanaging. Well,
Hmm.
micromanaging, it's great if it's just you.
Yeah. Oh,
It
yeah.
works in certain times in certain businesses. You can't live on that. No, you cannot grow a successful business being a micromanage.
Yeah. That is exactly true. And all these people who have run multiple million-dollar businesses,
None of them.
they have their own leadership style. And that leadership style is consistent from $0 to dollar in a million and above. You can't say they change.
No. And none of them are micromanagers. They've learned their lesson not to be at
Yeah.
some point during their further.
Now, in their first business, they developed their leadership style.
Right.
You will change your leadership style in your first business, guaranteed, because
Absolutely.
you're learning, you're growing, and you're developing your style. But at no point should you go home one type of leader one night and come back to be a different one the next day. Each development should be this gradual, like internalizing something you've learned, or go, I'm not so strong on this particular area, let's say communication, and then taking time to develop it. It's not, well, I'm just everyone's friend and we're a family too. You will do your work. No, you develop leadership style.
Yeah.
And that happens in your first one, sometimes two businesses.
Yeah, it could take two. because your first one could have failed because you don't realize your management style killed it.
Hmm. But once you're into your third or fourth, that leadership style is consistent from the first dollar to the last.
Right. So I think what we're saying is like learn your lessons from your first business and get to that certain point, like, and it should be a strategic plan. When to exit, when to start the next business, when to get the right people in the place. It's a plan. All these people had
Hmm.
a plan. Some of them had to learn and change and alter their plans on their way. That's normal. Don't think
Yes,
I must stick with it no matter what. No.
there's a difference between updating your plan of action
Right.
to veering off course.
Right. And that's why I've always had the coach or brought in a coach going, okay, your train's not on your own rails right now.
Hmm.
Yes, the train goes around bends, it goes up and down, but your train right now is not even on the rails. So let's get your train back on your rails and then build the rails to go up and down and around to get to your final destination. And it was like,
Yeah,
well, the first thing we did was like kill shiny objects.
kill shiny object. Now, some shiny objects are good shiny objects, but that's why you need a coach
Right.
to help you distinguish that.
That's it. Yeah, we brought in a couple of ancillary things that helped the business. And I had a million, of course, ideas how to do it. And they're
Hmm.
like, no, how's that going to help the business? Is it going to do this? Is it going to do that? They were that devil's advocate that you
Hmm.
needed. And if you think some of these people who built these massive businesses from nothing didn't have someone that could be an advisor, a mentor, a coach, someone was there telling them, stop the crap, get back on track.
And I think the biggest lesson I've ever learned from studying people in business, and I don't just study these gurus or whoever says the name, I study history, I study trends, I study people, is even if you believe they made it overnight, they didn't.
Right.
And that's the other piece that you have to have the mindset for. You will not make a multi-million dollar business in 30 days or less unless you have done it multiple times before.
Yeah. And then that's when you read those business magazines and then read those people's history. This isn't their first time.
Yeah,
None of them. They learned a lot on the way there. They've had a ton of failures, but they
yeah,
finally had an idea and they knew how to execute that idea to hit it.
yeah. So the mindset again, don't give up just because you're hitting a hurdle.
Absolutely. And if you do need that help, find that person.
Find that person. Find the accountability group. Find
Yeah,
the peers.
absolutely. So, folks, when your next idea comes, really put it through a litmus test. Is it something you should jump on now? Or when you're at a certain point in your business, is it time to hop off the train and get on a different one?
Right. Well, I would actually love to hear who are some of the people that our listeners do read about. Who are some of these people that they see as success stories? I was going to say one of mine is Gary Vee,
Right.
also Richard Branson, Sarah Blake.
Yeah.
These are great stories about how they went through things and finally got to where they are to understand business. How about you, Steve? Who's a couple of your favorites? Because we want you all to write these in the comments. We want to know
Yeah.
whose people's favorites are.
Mine was Benjamin Franklin, believe it or not,
It's a good
because
one.
he, in his books, in his writings, told you all he's got. I mean, crazy ideas, but how he hit everything was focused on one at a time, and then how he built things. And he would build it to a certain point and find someone to take it over because he was like the founder. He didn't
Hmm.
want to execute the rest of the way. So he found someone to take it off his plate so he can hop on to the next thing and do it again.
Yeah, it's a great example. And it's one that people don't overlook.
I know because he's a statesman, but he did so many other things. And how he created other legislators, he knew what to look for in people and bring the best out of them to get
Yes,
them on his team. And then he has an idea, they help him execute it, and then he,
that's it. This was a really good conversation because I think a lot of people struggle with this, Steve,
They
and
do, and
they think they're alone.
right, and they're not.
They're not.
Folks, don't ever think you're alone being in business because we've been there, we've both been there, and it's not a pretty place. It's dark, it's ugly. But the second we found, like, got our ego out of this, moved out of the way, and said, "Hey, I need some help." And guess what? We got someone that's looking out for our best interests, not our checkbooks. And all of a sudden, life got great, food tasted better, air smelled better, and our business took off.
That is so true. Oh, you like and subscribe if you found some of this useful. That way you can be here for the next episode because we do give away a lot of gold and it's not costing you anything to listen to this.
No. And let's see those comments in there. What figure or someone that has really influenced your way or what you read about them and learned about them?
Yeah, it's always a good thing to see. I guess that'll be it till next episode, Steve.
Yeah, we will see you all soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on the Tea and Coffee Hub podcast today. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and it left you inspired, equipped, and ready to take your next step, whether that's in life, business, or maybe both.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future episodes, and connect with us online and in person. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Until next time,
Keep sipping,
keep growing,
take action.
and stop making excuses.